My friends, there comes a moment when time itself reaches its threshold, a moment not written in the calendars of man, but carved into the eternal scrolls of heaven. That moment is now. That moment is upon us. And that moment begins July 1 for years. No, for generations. The signs have whispered, the winds have stirred, the ground beneath us has groaned, and now the silence is breaking. The countdown has ended. Heaven has spoken, and what was once delayed will be delayed no longer. There are moments in time that seem ordinary to the world, but in the realm of heaven, they have been marked from the beginning. July 1 is not simply the turning of a calendar page. It is a divine appointment, a moment fixed in the eternal plan of God, not made by man's decisions or earthly governments, but by the hand of the Almighty. The world may carry on unaware, continuing in its routines and distractions, but the Spirit bears witness to something greater, something set in motion long before we took our first breath. The appointed time has come. It is not a random date or a coincidence on the calendar. It is the moment that was written into the scrolls of destiny before the foundation of the world. God is not bound by time, but he moves in appointed seasons. He spoke to Noah and gave him a countdown. He warned the people of Nineveh and gave them 40 days. He told Daniel of the appointed 70 weeks. He moved through the prophets and spoke of days, times, and set seasons. July 1 stands as one of these appointed moments, not because it is the first day of a month, but because it is the beginning of a divine shift. It is a line drawn across the sands of time by the same hand that drew fire from heaven and split the sea. And when that line is crossed, things will no longer remain the same. This appointed time is not just about world events, though they will surely unfold. It is about what has been hidden and what is now to be revealed. It is about promises long delayed, now released. It is about doors that have stood shut finally opening. It is about chains that have held people bound beginning to break. It is about the movement of heaven intersecting the timeline of earth. And when that moment comes, everything caught in its path will be impacted. Heaven's wind does not pass through unnoticed. It shakes, it shifts, it sets in motion what has been waiting in the wings. The appointed time is a signal to the remnant, to those who have felt the trembling beneath their feet, but could not yet explain it, to those who have been waiting, watching, and weeping in secret. To those who have not bowed their knees to Baal, who have not given in to compromise, who have remained faithful when it cost everything, they may have felt forgotten. They may have wondered if their season would ever come. But the appointed time is not delayed forever. It comes in its moment, and when it does, it comes suddenly. Heaven has a rhythm, a pulse, and July 1 begins the quickening. What was slow begins to speed up. What was hidden is brought into the open. What was planted in faith begins to sprout. What was spoken in secret begins to echo across the land. The appointed time activates the prophetic. It causes words once dormant to be fulfilled. It causes visions once waiting to find their time. It causes the alignments of heaven to press into the earth with force. The delay is broken not by chance, but because the appointed time has been reached. God is a God of precision. He works by patterns, numbers, and appointed feasts. He does nothing without revealing it through his servants and setting it within his time. This appointed moment is not only a marker of prophetic fulfillment, but also a call to attention. A trumpet blast for those with ears to hear. A wake-up cry for those who have grown weary. It's the shift from preparation to movement, from promise to manifestation. The appointed time carries a weight. It divides, it commissions, it releases. And all those who discern it will know it is not like any other moment. Something has changed in the spiritual realm. The angelic hosts have begun to move. The atmosphere is charged with divine urgency. Those who walk in the Spirit can feel the tremble in the air. It is the whisper of eternity breaking through the veil of time. There comes a time when the foundations are shaken, not by the hands of man, but by the voice of God. When heaven moves, earth cannot remain still. The shaking is not random. It is deliberate. It is divine, and it is here. July 1 marks not only the beginning of a divine unfolding, but the beginning of a great shaking and a great separating. Everything that is not rooted will be tested. Everything that is not aligned will be exposed. The winds are beginning to blow, not the winds of weather, but the winds of God's breath. These winds will separate the wheat from the chaff, the real from the counterfeit, the consecrated from the comfortable. What could once hide behind religious forms and outward performance will no longer be able to stand. The shaking will pull back every veil and strip away every disguise. The separating is necessary. In every move of God there is a sifting. Before the fire of Pentecost fell, there was a waiting. Before the harvest could come, there had to be a plowing. And before the glory descends, the threshing floor must be cleared. The shaking will shake systems, churches, leaders, and individuals. That which has been built on sand will not survive what is coming. The applause of man will not shield it. The popularity of a platform will not protect it. Only what is built on the rock, only what is rooted in holiness and truth will remain when the winds pass over. The separating is not a punishment, it is a mercy. It is the love of a father who refuses to let his children walk in deception. It is the fire that purifies the gold. It is the storm that washes away what was never meant to stand. For too long, the people of God have mixed the sacred with the profane, the pure with the polluted. God is jealous for a bride without spot or wrinkle, and so he allows the shaking that he might raise up a people who cannot be moved. The shaking reveals what man has built and what God has ordained. The separating brings clarity to what has been clouded. It removes the mixture, the compromise, the lukewarm. It causes the line to be drawn again between light and darkness, between clean and unclean, between holy and common. There is a remnant that has been hidden in the caves like Elijah, waiting for the signal. They have not bowed to the idols of this age. They have not surrendered their oil for the approval of the crowd. They are those who will rise in the midst of the shaking, not because they are perfect, but because they are pure. They are those who will not run from the fire, but through it. They are those who will stand when others fall, speak when others are silent, and shine when the world grows darker. The separating will not only expose but elevate. God is preparing to raise up voices who have been unseen, unnamed, and unknown, but heaven has known their names, heaven has watched their tears, heaven has recorded their prayers. And now the season has come when the hidden will be revealed. This shaking will not be short. It will touch institutions, ideologies, and strongholds. It will uproot what has been established by pride and control. It will strike at the systems built on manipulation and greed. What has been tolerated in the name of tradition or tolerance will be confronted. There will be a cost. There will be losses, but there will also be glory. Because when God shakes, he also rebuilds, and when he separates, he also sanctifies. The time of the great in-between is ending. The middle ground is being removed. The Spirit is drawing a line and calling a people to step over it. Those who cross it will find purpose, power, and the fire of his presence. Those who refuse will be swept in the tide of confusion and delusion. The shaking has begun, and with it comes the separating, the refining, and the revealing of who truly belongs to the Lord. There are scrolls in heaven, sealed from the eyes of man, hidden in the chambers of the Most High. These are not the scrolls written by human hands, but by the breath of God himself. They contain destinies, judgments, assignments, and seasons. And when the appointed time comes, what has been sealed is loosed. What has been kept back is now unveiled. July 1 marks such a moment, the moment when a scroll is unsealed. This is not symbolic alone, it is prophetic reality. When heaven unseals a scroll, it sets in motion that which cannot be stopped by earthly power. It releases a chain of divine events that bring about fulfillment, exposure, movement, and manifestation. The scroll that is now being unsealed carries weight. It holds what was prophesied but has not yet come to pass. It contains blueprints that have been waiting for alignment, revelations that were stored until now, and divine judgments that have been restrained but will be held back no longer. This is the moment when delay gives way to release. The sealing of the scroll was protection, for the world was not ready, the church was not ready, the remnant was not ready. But now the trumpet has sounded, and the scroll has been placed in the hands of the one to whom it belongs. When a scroll is opened, heaven speaks, and when heaven speaks, everything must respond. The elements respond, the nations tremble, the spirits that operate in darkness begin to manifest, because they know the season has changed. What was tolerated in the last season will be confronted in this one. What was allowed to sleep in the shadows will now be forced into the light. The scroll brings clarity. It brings order. It brings heaven's decree into the chaos of earth's confusion. And what has been hidden will no longer be able to remain hidden. Assignments are being released from the scroll. There are those who have been waiting for direction, for release, for a signal. They have walked faithfully in silence, in obscurity, with no recognition and no reward. But now comes the commissioning, now comes the divine instruction that has been waiting on the unsealing. These are not small tasks. These are not ordinary callings. These are kingdom assignments forged in the fire of intercession, birthed through surrender, and carried by those who have been refined. The scroll does not give light tasks. It gives weighty mandates because it comes from the throne. Revelations are also being released. Mysteries that have been kept sealed will begin to open to those with eyes to see and ears to hear. The Spirit will whisper secrets that were held back for this time. Prophetic understanding will deepen. Scriptures once read will now explode with layers of meaning. Dreams will intensify. Discernment will sharpen, and those who walk close to the Lord will know. They have touched something sacred, something that did not belong to the last season. With the unsealing of the scroll also comes the breaking of seals, seals that have kept back justice, that have delayed judgment, that have restrained what was destined to fall. These judgments are not random. They are righteous, they are targeted, they are designed to shake systems that resist God, to humble the proud, to expose the hidden works of darkness. The scroll brings both mercy and severity. It calls people to repentance while also setting boundaries that will no longer be crossed. The unsealing of the scroll is a sign to the remnant that the time of waiting is over. It is the shift from preparation to release. It is the activation of long-held promises. It is the alignment of heaven's clock with the calendar of man. Those who have ears to hear will sense the atmosphere change. They will feel the weight of the Spirit increase. They will know something has been opened in the unseen realm, and nothing will remain the same once the scroll is read. There are those who have walked through fire and carried crosses in silence, whose names are not known by the crowds, whose faces are not on stages, whose voices are not heard in the halls of popularity. They are the hidden ones. They have been forged in secret, trained not in the eyes of men but in the presence of the Most High. While others built platforms, they built altars. While others chased visibility, they chased intimacy. While others sought applause, they sought the face of God. The world did not recognize them, but heaven did. The church overlooked them, but the throne recorded every tear, every sacrifice, every whispered yes in the dark. And now the time has come. July 1 marks not just a turning of seasons, but a releasing of those whom heaven has hidden for such a time as this. The hidden ones are not perfect, but they are pure. They are not flawless, but they are faithful. They are not polished, but they are powerful, not in their own strength, but in the authority that comes from a life laid down. They have passed through seasons of crushing, pruning, and breaking. Their anointing did not come cheap. Their oil was produced through pressure. Their authority was forged in the wilderness. They were kept in caves, held back by divine restraint, not because they were unworthy, but because the world was not ready. But when the appointed moment arrives, what has been hidden must be revealed. What has been held back must be released. What has been covered must be uncovered by the command of God. This is the hour when God bypasses the expected. He is not looking to elevate the most gifted or the most followed. He is looking for the most surrendered. The hidden ones have been found faithful in the secret place. While the world chased recognition, they built a history with God. They are not driven by ambition but by obedience. They do not seek to impress but to intercede. They are the ones who have contended in prayer when no one was watching, who have wept over the condition of the land, who have refused to bow to the idols of culture and convenience. And now heaven is saying, come forth. Their emergence will not come through self-promotion, but through divine positioning. It will not be the result of man's invitation, but of heaven's command. Doors will open not because of networking, but because of favor. Opportunities will appear not because of effort, but because of assignment. Their voices will carry weight because their lives carry integrity. Their words will pierce because they have been baptized in the fire of consecration. They will walk in power because they have walked in humility. They will lead because they have first learned to follow. The releasing of the hidden ones is a sign to the world that God is shifting the landscape. He is removing the show and restoring the sacred. He is cleansing his altars and raising up those who will not defile them. He is exposing the mixture and bringing forth messengers who walk in purity. These hidden ones will not be controlled by systems, manipulated by money, or swayed by popularity. They have died to those things. Their eyes are set, their hearts are steady, and their spirits burn with holy fire. They do not seek to entertain, but to awaken. They do not echo the world, but declare the word of the Lord. This move will be marked by the unexpected. God will raise up voices from the back of the line. He will pull leaders from unlikely places. He will anoint those who have been counted out, overlooked, and dismissed. Their language may not fit the mold, but their message will carry heaven. Their style may offend the religious, but their fruit will testify of God. They will walk in boldness, not arrogance. They will carry authority, not entitlement. They will weep before they roar. They will minister not from ambition, but from brokenness. Because they have been hidden in God, they will now be revealed by God. There comes a point when the old must be left behind for the new to be embraced. What once carried you through one season cannot be brought into the next. There are things that were permissible in the wilderness that are not permitted in the promised land. Egypt was a place of bondage, yet many grew familiar with it. They learned its rhythms, its routines, even its comforts, but the call of God is never to remain in captivity. Still, when freedom comes, there is often a temptation to carry the mindset, habits, and burdens of Egypt into the land of promise. But the new cannot be built on the foundation of the old. The old must be buried before the new can be born. There are relationships, patterns, and mindsets that once served a purpose in your life, but have now become weights. They were part of your journey, but not part of your destiny. What God is preparing to release cannot be poured into old wineskins. If you try to hold onto what He is asking you to release, you will risk losing both. The things that brought you comfort in the last season may be the very things that hinder you in this one. The Lord is calling for a clean break, a holy severing, a consecrated parting with what no longer belongs to you. This is not a rejection of your past. It is an acknowledgement that the cloud is moving. And if the cloud moves, you must move with it. If you stay behind, you will find yourself out of alignment with the presence. July 1 signifies not just a new beginning, but a demand for separation. A line is being drawn. You cannot cross it carrying Egypt with you. Egypt represents not just a place of captivity, but a way of thinking. It is the mentality of survival instead of faith. It is the voice of fear instead of trust. It is the craving for what was instead of hunger for what could be. It is the complaint instead of the cry for more. God is breaking the spirit of Egypt off His people so they can walk in the freedom He ordained. This moment calls for ruthless obedience. Partial obedience will not carry you through. God is not just adjusting your direction. He is transforming your identity. You were not created to wander in circles. You were not redeemed to live in compromise. You were not anointed to settle for less. The Jordan is in front of you, and the call is to cross over, but the baggage of Egypt cannot come with you. There are garments that must be removed. There are voices that must be silenced. There are idols that must be torn down. What you cling to reveals what you trust. If you trust him, you will release what no longer aligns with his will for your life. The wilderness was a place of testing. It revealed what was in your heart. It showed whether you would obey when there was no comfort, when there was no explanation, when there was only manna and no menu. But now the time of testing is shifting into a time of possession. Possession requires preparation. You cannot conquer Canaan with a slave's mentality. You cannot bring the idols of Egypt into the land of covenant. The old offenses, the old entanglements, the old excuses must fall away. The Spirit of God is drawing you into something greater, but he will not force you to enter. You must choose. You must decide what you will lay down and what you will pick up. To step into the next, you must leave behind what no longer belongs to your calling. The old strategies, the old mindsets, the old compromises, these are the chains that must fall. The cost of clinging to the past is too high when the future has already been written in the ink of purpose. God is not taking you back. He is taking you through, but to go through, you must travel light. Egypt is not your identity. It was only your wilderness classroom. Now comes the crossing, and the water does not part for those who look back. There is a sound rising in the spirit, a call that goes beyond the noise of the world and the chaos of culture. It is the sound of a remnant being summoned, a people set apart, not by man, but by God. They are not defined by denomination, popularity, or tradition, but by fire, holiness, and unwavering obedience. This is the remnant's hour, the ones who have endured the crushing, who have passed through the wilderness, who have refused to bow to the gods of convenience and compromise. They have not been moved by trends or intimidated by darkness. They have remained steadfast, though unseen, though rejected, though misunderstood, and now their time has come. The remnant has always existed. In every generation, when the majority turned away, a few remained faithful. In the days of Noah, in the days of Elijah, in the days of Daniel, there was always a remnant. They did not blend in. They did not sell out. They did not silence the truth to appease the crowd. They stood when others fell. They spoke when others were silent, and they burned when others grew cold. This generation is no different. The stage is being set, and the Lord is calling forth his remnant to arise and take their place in the unfolding of his purposes. This hour will not be marked by the rise of celebrity voices or popular platforms. It will be marked by the emergence of those who have been hidden in prayer closets and forged in caves. These are the ones who have been weeping for the condition of the church, groaning for revival, interceding for nations. They have sown in tears, and the season of reaping is upon them. But the harvest will not be of applause or earthly reward. It will be souls, it will be power, it will be authority that comes not from titles, but from heaven's endorsement. The remnant will walk in boldness, but it will not be the boldness of flesh. It will be the boldness that flows from brokenness. They will carry fire, but not fire they manufactured, fire that came from the altar, placed in their mouths and in their hearts by the Spirit of the living God. They will not entertain, they will not perform, they will confront, they will convict. They will carry the voice of the Lord with clarity and authority, and the world will not be able to ignore it. In this hour, compromise will be exposed. Mixture will be shaken. Lukewarmness will be rejected. The Spirit is not calling for partial devotion, but total surrender. The remnant will be marked by holiness, not as an external display, but as the result of deep internal consecration. They will be set apart not by their image, but by their intimacy. They will not chase relevance, because they will be too consumed by reverence. They will not water down the word, because they have been baptized in the truth. They will not bow to fear, because they have already died to self. The world is looking for answers, but it will not find them in the usual places. God is turning his spotlight away from the stage and onto the remnant. These are the ones who will declare the word of the Lord without apology. They will stand in the fire and not be burned. They will challenge kings and confront idols. They will not flinch when the cost is great, because they have already paid it in the secret place. Their authority will come not from the approval of man, but from the commissioning of heaven. This hour belongs to the remnant, not because they sought it, but because they were prepared for it, not because they are worthy, but because they were willing. The battles they fought in silence will now become platforms for deliverance. The oil they purchased in private will now be poured out in public. The prayers they prayed in hidden places will now shake cities and nations. The remnant will not blend in, they will break through. They will not echo the culture, they will overturn it. They will not retreat in fear, they will advance in power. You were not born for comfort. You were not called for convenience. You were chosen for this hour, for such a time as this. The countdown of heaven has ended, and the alarm of destiny is sounding. July 1 is not just a date, it is a divine line in the sand. From this point forward, neutrality is no longer an option. You will either rise or retreat, advance or be overtaken, burn with holy fire or be consumed by the fire of judgment. Everything is shifting. The shaking has begun, the scroll has been unsealed, the hidden ones are being released. Egypt must be left behind, the remnant must rise. This is the moment that history will look back on, not as the day everything fell apart, but as the day everything began. So now the call goes out, stand, move, obey, purify your hands, sharpen your sword, and fix your eyes on the King. The hour of destiny is not coming, it is here, and it begins now.